Hiya, I'm Grace and welcome to Change Talks. I am here with my colleague Yvette and we are joined by these amazing men from Badu Sport. May you introduce yourselves, please?
Hi guys, well, you already know me, but I am Wesley. I'm from Badu. I'm the funding coordinator. I also deal with a bit of partnerships, or educational side of partnerships at Badu. But yeah, that's a bit about me.
Hi everyone, my name is Edgar and I'm a data and insight coordinator at Badu, and I also kind of deal with the funding with the amazing Wesley.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know when I worked with you guys spoke about identity and branding quite a bit. How would you say that the identity that, let's say, people in the community that you work with, the identity they have, the mindset that they have about themselves, how does it impact or interrelate with mental health?
So I would say a lot of people, especially after COVID, I feel like COVID was a very good example of this. In COVID, you saw a lot of people who were already, they're already not sure about themselves, so like what life paths they were going through. Right. And when COVID happened, there was like almost a stop to like society. So everyone was in a scramble of, what am I doing? What's gonna happen? Where am I going? And coming out of COVID, now integrating back into society, everyone was kind of lost and they lost that kind of sense of belonging. So in short, one thing that we like to do is ensuring that you understand your brand, you understand your identity, you understand your purpose, and everyone has like their own purpose. For example, myself, I feel like one of our purposes was that we needed to work with in a community group like Badu to ensure that, so we have a program called the Hidden Talent Program. And one thing that we both experienced was that coming out of university, there wasn't jobs. Well, there was jobs, but it was very hard to get into a job, especially coming from a Black and global majority background, entering the corporate space. So I felt like my purpose was to create a program that helped people that were like myself to get into corporate spaces. So what Badu helped me do is find that purpose. Now I have that identity, my purpose, and it helped me shape my well-being to ensure that I'm like, this is my purpose, this is my route, and this is what I have destined for myself, aside from all the other things that I had planned for my life as well.
And not only that, now that we have identified our identity, a lot of people that are the same age as us can now look at us and be like, that could happen for ourselves as well. So like we have the tools in order to, make it easier for the people that had the same struggle as us. And not only that, being the same age, so like coming out of university, like Wesley said, it is very hard. So now that we have the tools for them to kind of progress in the future, or make it easier for them to just progress, why not, open it up for them?
I think that's really powerful, because I think young people have a tendency, or just all of us in general, we have a tendency to kind of like develop this form of imposter syndrome, where we see what's going on, and especially if you're from a difficult environment. Like I grew up in the South Bronx of New York City, so all I saw was drug deals happening. All I saw was people getting shot, people getting stabbed, and like these things, I just didn't go outside, right? Because I know my mom used to say when growing up, you are who you hang out with. And unfortunately, if you get caught up associating with the people that are doing these things, it trickles down, right? So I just didn't go outside. But I know for a lot of my friends, even if they didn't want to be involved in it, they somehow got sucked into it because they wanted to identify with something. So I think that program is like extremely powerful, and that's amazing, because allowing somebody to find their purpose and find their sense of identity also trickles into what becomes a huge part of them having a better mental health, I want to say, or a more positive impact on their mental health.
One thing I would add on to that as well is speaking about the imposter syndrome. So with that is young people knowing their value as well. So almost going into a corporate space, I feel like that's something that I learned as well. Going into corporate spaces, at first I didn't know my value. So I felt like that they were almost bigger than me, and I had to live up to their standards. Now I go into there and I'm like, no, I can better you guys. So I'm the value here. And that plays a big part in a lot of young people's mental health, because that lack of confidence to even be going to interviews. Some people don't even make it to the interview because they get an interview, but then they're like, I'm not even gonna get anywhere, what's the point of going? Right. And then it's almost that doubt that kills more dreams than failure ever will. Almost that quote there, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's go a bit deep. What is it that is causing people to have those mindsets? What starts it off? Is it society? Is it internal? Is it home? Is it trauma? Is it experiences? What is it that's causing that?
I'd say society. You can say it starts from home, but if it started from home, it started from somewhere else.
Right.
So society is kind of shaped people to believe that they can't do more than what they can. So like if you live in a certain area,
Right.
you can't come out of that area, you're limited to that area. So like for instance, we're based in Hackney Wick, and right next to Hackney Wick there's like a urban area where, you know, there's a lot of people with low income families, and on the other side there's a lot of middle class families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gentrification. So what we did as an organization, we just built a cafe in the middle so that people from the other side of Hackney can come over to literally cross the bridge and just get to know people within that area and feel like you also do belong where we are based. So yeah, just kind of, sorry, I kind of lost myself now.
No, that's okay. I think what you said is so amazing. I'm gonna bring maybe a cliche reference, but you know Top Boy, right?
Yeah.
So I analysed Top Boy for my dissertation because love it, society, all this stuff. But when you actually, even from the first scene, you see where you have like the cafe, the foreign cafe with like foreign cocoa beans and all this stuff, and Deshane is walking like this place has changed. And then as soon as you flip the switch, switch the flip, right? Charlie, flip the switch, yeah. As soon as you flip it, it's like the dirts, the tower blocks, the filth, the drug abuse, the market. So it's like integrating, bringing people, because it's almost as though, if, for example, just reference to Top Boy, it's almost as though those people belong there, and then the lot, so they don't mix. So I think you guys building a cafe there where people who wouldn't normally come there, because I'll be honest, when I was younger, I lived in a hostel in Elephant and Castle, and I remember I'd go to Chelsea I was fortunate enough, not fortunate, but I had friends from different backgrounds, and I'd feel very uncomfortable. And I was sometimes not served. I'd be told they don't have this food there, and it sort of made me subconsciously feel like I don't belong.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I didn't see anyone who was like me either. So I think you guys creating that space, you're shifting narratives just by being there. That's so mad. That's actually mad, because it does affect your confidence. If we're talking about anxiety, I'd be so anxious just walking, asking for something I've paid for, a service I've paid for. I'd be like, hi, excuse me, can I please have it well done, please? You know, I'm shivering, I'm scared. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I don't belong, I'm anxious. It's insane.
Absolutely, and not only that, so where we're based as well, we bring people over to study, not just come and look at where we're working and everything. We bring young people that needed to do their A-levels or GCSEs to come and study, and it allows them to also network with other people that perhaps is in the field that they want to get into when they finish their A-levels and, you know, get into university, or perhaps kind of exposed to other avenues before starting your A-levels, knowing what subjects you want to study for you to shape the career that you want to pursue. So yeah, just allowing young people or people in general in their families to feel like they are part of a society of, you know, where they live. Is very important, especially if you don't feel like you belong in a specific place that you live in.
Bridging the gap.
Yeah. We have a program called Bridging the Gap.
No way!
Yeah.
So everyone, what would you say are some of the main issues that you're seeing with young people right now?
Some of the main issues. I would definitely say that one of the main issues that we're seeing right now is that young people are almost scared to talk about their feelings. I feel like a lot of people are shying away from talking about their feelings. Also, the reason why they're kind of shying away from talking about their feelings, I feel like they didn't get that acceptance at home. And I feel like a lot of, coming from backgrounds like, let's say an African background like mine, I feel like it's a bit tough, but like, yeah, we don't do feelings. It's just like, hey, if you feel like that, you better keep it stepping and just work through it. Yeah, life's hard. And then they will start telling you stories that they used to walk 1,000 miles to go get water. And you're like, mate. Yeah. So I feel like it's tough for young people to talk about feelings, especially coming from like ethnic backgrounds. So they're almost fighting that internal battle. So it's very difficult for young people nowadays. I would say that's a big issue.
So could you repeat the question one more time, please?
Yeah, of course. So I would say, what are some of the main issues that you see with young people with regards to mental health?
They're too indulged in social media, which is not letting them identify what their true feelings are.
Right.
So what I mean by that, like, it's about TikTok. I think TikTok tells you a lot about mental health, how you're supposed to be feeling, or if you're feeling this way, this is how, this means that you're this. So just kind of allowing yourself to sit back and realize that what you're feeling is either sad or just a bit lonely. It doesn't mean that you're depressed. So don't just kind of listen to what is out there or what social media is telling you. Think of the people, think of yourself and talk to the person that who you feel like you can talk to, instead of just going on TikTok and, you know, and kind of see it, thinking, is this, if I'm feeling this way, does that mean, you know, that way? So so just not relying on social media and just focusing on themselves a bit more.
I think the lack of generational support as well. Like, I think it's huge that a child can't seek support from their parent. Like, no matter what culture you come from, no matter what your background, no matter what age, I think the hugest thing that we face is the lack of home support, because we can't just go to our parents and say, I feel like this. There's always a, like, it could be worse kind of situation. Or there's, I didn't know how to deal with it myself, so I'm not gonna let you deal with it yourself kind of thing. And I feel like that's where it kind of starts, from generation to generation to generation to generation. And there's a multitude of reasons for it, but I feel like at the root, the lack of generational support and the lack of, I guess, wanting to expand their mind as well. Like, a lot of the older generation is completely stuck in their ways, and it's really hard to have the conversation about it.
Well, one thing also is, and it's almost sometimes used as an excuse, but then how can you give what you haven't got? Do you know what I mean? How can my parent, who's been, let's say, abused or been through things, who never dealt with it, didn't know how to, it wasn't allowed, or in their time they didn't even speak about it. How do I expect them? Obviously, there is room for expansion and for learning, but then it may even be uncomfortable for them. Like, how can they do what they just don't know how to do? They don't have the tools.
I feel like it's okay to not know the answer sometimes.
Right.
So I feel like, for example, I'm not going to name the person in my company, but someone in a company that I go to speak to a lot, sometimes I'll ask them a question about, let's say, a life skill lesson. They'll be like, you know what? I actually don't know the answer to that. However, I can ask around, I can ask someone who I do know who went through a similar situation, and I can tell you, and I can give their kind of perspective of it. And then from there, you can kind of make your own judgment. But I feel like a lot of parents should be doing that, because I feel like just by doing that, they're at least acknowledging how the person feels. And that acknowledgement on its own is just like the young person will start to feel, oh, like, at least you're actually caring, at least you're gonna try put in the effort to try find out the information for me to support me. And then just feeling like you're being supported alone it does a lot.
Especially because in African households, myself being African, you're just told to kind of, like, you know, deal with it or move on, or, you know, it is what it is. So acknowledging your feelings, your parents acknowledging your feelings is like, you know, it's the acceptance of the emotion. Because if you're not accepting the emotion, you're just gonna go into, you know, shifting that to the next generation, and then the other, and then the other. And then,
It becomes a cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, so with regards to mental health right now, what would you change?
I would say a lot more people need to speak to each other. I would say just that kind of almost that peer mentoring kind of aspect. And I feel like we do that quite well with a program that we run called Boys to Men. It's just a program that literally boys come, young men come, young boys come, men, older generation. It's like an intergenerational program that we just come, we all sit down, we go for a coffee, and then we do like a walk around the Olympic Park, and we just talk about all like the different kind of issues that we're going through. And it doesn't always have to be issues, it can just be what's going on this week. What do you have planned in your future? And you get a perspective from all age groups and whatnot. And it's a very vulnerable space for us, where we can just all talk about how we're actually feeling. With some people talk about their wives, their girlfriends, their situationships. Sometimes we just talk about football, and it's that open space for us to just be like, offload. And I feel like a lot of the times men don't get that space to offload. We just keep everything in, everything's held in. But to have that space, where you can just speak freely and just
Or just
be
listen and kind of understand that people go through the same thing as you. It's important.
It releases the burden, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not alone here.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah, I think the main change to focus on is like giving safe space and creating awareness is also huge, and educating. So with the program that we're currently launching called Work Hard, Play Hard, we're intertwining basketball with mental health messaging, but we have specific criteria resorting to education around mental health and emotional awareness, which is really huge, and it's both male and female. So intertwining those both, we'll be able to like have a safe space where men, women, and non-binary feel comfortable and able to talk.
What an amazing conversation. I'm so sad we've come to an end. I feel like we could talk for hours, but as well. Just thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your experiences, and it's so exciting to hear some of the things you're doing, things that haven't been done. It's amazing. So yeah, well done with the work that you do. It's inspiring, and I hope that it's influenced people that have watched and listened as well. Just thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Yvette.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.